Greetings, I'm Eddie Muller, welcoming you back to Bar 355 in Oakland, California, for another trip down Noir Alley. Today's offering is a dark melodrama from RKO that's also a time capsule of the era's politics. Politics that lit a bonfire in the movie colony and changed the course of American history. Released in late 1949 as I Married a Communist, the picture was reissued the following year under the more generic title, The Woman on Pier 13. Now, over the course of the 7 years I've hosted Noir Alley, I've often discussed the impact of Congress's anti-communist crusade on the movie business. I rarely pass up a chance to mention artists whose careers were derailed by the House Committee on Un-American Activities, or by the blacklist that was tacitly agreed to by Hollywood studios bowing to political pressure. Some viewers have complained, arguing that I'm going out of my way to bring politics into what's supposed to be an escape from reality. Well, here's my problem with that line of thinking. The film noir era, which is the main but not exclusive focus of this program, largely took place between 1946 and 1954. Not coincidentally, HUAC's initial hearings into possible communist influence in Hollywood began in 1947. Witch hunt hysteria was soon rampant, and many people lost their livelihoods merely by being suspected of communist sympathies. The Fuhrer dominated the culture until December of 1954, when the Senate voted to censure Senator Joseph McCarthy, who steamrolled to national notoriety by bearing the torch as the nation's leading anti-commie witch hunter. Now, the threat of blacklisting affected virtually everyone in Hollywood, creating a climate of deceit and distrust that played a major part in the rise of film noir. While studios largely shied away from political issues, certain themes and emotions engendered by anti-communist hysteria, paranoia and betrayal most prominently, definitely found their way into the movies, especially crime pictures. To ignore or willfully erase the politics of the era is to completely miss the context in which the films were created. It's like discussing the Allies' triumph in World War II while simultaneously denying the Holocaust ever happened. When oil and aviation magnate Howard Hughes, a vehement anti-communist, took over RKO in 1948, the first project put into production was I Married a Communist, based on a script by little-known George Slavin and George W. George, rumored to be a well-known writer working under an alias. The script had been rejected by Eagle Lion Pictures, but Hughes bought it to use as a sort of litmus test. He'd assigned various writers and directors to work on it, using their enthusiasm, or lack of it, to judge their political leanings. According to Joseph Losey, one of several directors who passed on the project, it was an untenable situation. Several directors, including John Cromwell and Nicholas Ray, declined simply because the script was bad, unfinished, and borderline incoherent. Over the course of 14 months or so, numerous writers were brought on to knock I Married a Communist into filmable shape, including John Edward Grant, Charlie Grayson, Art Cohn, and Herman Mankiewicz. In the end, veteran journeyman Robert Hardy Andrews produced the final shooting draft. Merle Oberon was originally set to play the role that went to Lorraine Day, and Janice Carter was borrowed from Columbia to replace Jane Greer, who'd provoked Hughes's ire by daring to get married, a decision that led the jealous Hughes to briefly blacklist her at the studio where she was under contract. Robert Ryan, possibly the most liberal actor in Hollywood, later said he'd only agreed to play the lead role because he feared Hughes would ruin his career otherwise. Hughes had hoped to gain attention by having RKO be the first studio to release an anti-communist film. But by the time the picture was previewed in late 1949, the market was already awash in anti-Red sentiment. The Red Danube, the Iron Curtain, and the Red Menace had all beaten I Married a Communist to American movie screens. The film flopped in its early limited release, and a bewildered Hughes spent months searching for a new title before re-releasing the film in the summer of 1950 under its new name. It's a cinematic curio from a very strange time in Hollywood history. Here is The Woman on Pier 13.